What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And today I want to talk to you about traveling, which is something I absolutely love to do. Now, I'm not a big fan of flying on planes. They're not a big fan of having me on the planes either. With the lymphedema and the other physical problems I have, plus my extreme size, it makes it very, very difficult to fly. Though I will do it if it's necessary for business or for emergency situations. I prefer the Great American Road Trip. And in this country, we have a wonderful interstate system, and you can reach just about any city from any other city in just a matter of a few hours. It only takes a couple of days to make it from one coast to the other, and there's so many wonderful things to see. This country is absolutely beautiful. The mountains, the trees, the hills, the plains. It's breathtaking in parts. And there's all these little experiences on the side of the road, these dives, these restaurants, these rest stops where people are different and things are different, and there's so much to see and so much to enjoy and to experience. And I used to, when I was a kid, I used to travel home to Virginia twice a year to see my family and to see my friends in the place that I grew up in. And I would drive from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Southwest Virginia, Wise, Virginia. And I would stop over in Nashville and in Memphis and Knoxville and Little Rock and experience these cities. And even though I was traveling alone, I'd meet so many wonderful people and stop at these restaurants and have so much wonderful food and enjoy the hospitality and the newness of it. And it was phenomenal, phenomenal. And as I got older, traveling, of course, has become much more difficult. I used to travel for these Magic the Gathering events. If you don't know, that card game that I play, Magic, has a Pro Tour. And in order to get onto that Pro Tour, you have to qualify. You could go to these qualifiers all over the country, and you could compete with 200 or 300 other Magic players. I never made the top slot. Sometimes I made the top 8, sometimes the top 2. I just wasn't good enough to qualify for the Pro Tour. But me and my friends would all pile up in a car. We'd travel to that destination. We'd all compete together. We'd try to make an experience of it. And some of my fondest memories aren't about the game itself or aren't about how I did that day. They're about the meals that we shared, the fun in the hotel rooms, the jokes that we would tell in the car. That's the stuff that sticks with you. And that's why I think I really love the Great American Road Trip. I used to love to go to conventions as well, and I only ever made it to a few, mostly ACON out of Dallas. A wonderful convention based on anime. I spend most of my time in the watch room and checking out people's cosplay. And I've always been fascinated with the convention concept. They're often very difficult for me to go to and very difficult for me to experience because of my inability to walk, because of the lymphedema, because of my back and knee issues, and of course because of this weight. But it's something I've always wanted to do. It's something that I hope to be able to do in the future as I get healthier and as I lose this weight. My fiance, being the wonderful woman that she is, has been able to encourage me to do more and see more and experience more of the things that I want to do. And we will routinely take a road trip back up to her hometown to see her family and friends in Michigan, and we'll stop over in some towns and we'll experience the great nation that we live in, and it's wonderful. And having her to travel with, there was a 7-year gap where, other than traveling straight home and straight back, I did nothing. Maybe even longer than 7 years. But with her in the past 3 years of my life, I've been able to do it again, and I love it. I love the car ride. I love listening to music. I love playing my DS as we travel. I love stopping in these gas stations and exploring all the unique things they have to sell. I enjoy brand new dining experiences, meeting brand new people, and I love it. I love it. So this last weekend, there was a convention called Planet ComicCon, and it was in Kansas City. Now, there are 2 reasons I think my fiance wanted us to go to this. Number one of my good friends and YouTubers by the name of Jared, Jared Loses It is his channel. Him and his fiance Kelly, they live in Kansas City, and we knew it would be an opportunity for us to meet them. But she knew that I wanted to go to a con. She knew that I wanted to travel with my friends. She knew this would be something that I've been working so hard and so eagerly to do. And whereas I would have said no had one of my friends invited me a year ago, or even today, I told my fiance yes because I knew she'd be there for me to lean on when I needed her. I knew there was going to be a lot more walking than I was used to. I knew there was going to be a lot of pain, but it might be worth it. And specifically because George Takei and Will Wheaton were there, and those are two of my favorite people. I don't get starstruck very often, and it's hard for me to consider those people stars, but well, I've got a story about that at the end of this video. But the last convention I went to was Acon in 2001. My sleep apnea was really wrecking me back then. It was very difficult for me to walk even short distances, kind of the way it is now. The lymphedema was in my legs, was at its all-time worst, and I was in more pain than I'd ever been in. And that convention was the last I went to for two reasons. First, I realized physically it was almost impossible for me to do the things I wanted to do. I didn't get to see much. I didn't get to do much. In fact, overall, the experience was kind of miserable. But what made it especially miserable was that people were cruel. People noticed how big I was. I had no YouTube channel. Nobody knew who I was. Everybody was judging me by the look on my face, the size of my body, and the fact that it looked like I was about to collapse at any minute. Nobody wanted to help. Nobody cared. Everybody was afraid to look at me, and if they did look at me, they looked at me with hate and contempt, and it was awful, and it made me feel awful. And it was part of what led to the next 7 years of my life being a shut-in. This convention was very different. Not because I had my friend Jason and Ellis with me, they definitely helped. Not just because I had my fiance with me, without her I couldn't have done it. But I got recognized at this convention. And the first person that recognized me, they were so happy to meet me. And they shook my hand and they asked to take a picture with me. And my heart soared. And I felt like a celebrity. I didn't feel like that fat, weird, outcast guy. I didn't feel like that guy that everybody was looking at either with disgust or pity. But I felt loved and admired, and it meant the world to me. And just a few minutes afterwards, I was recognized again and again and again. And I shook hand after hand, and I took photo after photo. And in just the 5 short hours I was at the con, I met over 50 individual groups of people. There must have been 40 pictures taken of me. I felt like I should have been on Fame Row next to Will Wheaton. And it was the best experience of my life. Because I felt like somebody. I've always been inside this sad, angry little boy, and it's so rare that I'm able to forget that. It's so rare that I can ever be the character that I play on YouTube, the person that I play on YouTube, the person I want to be, the person that I try to be. But in that 5 hours, even though I was in incredible pain, even though I'd walked almost a couple of miles that day and my body was ready to give out at any moment, that if we hadn't brought this lawn chair for me to sit in, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have done it. Even all of that, even I could bear through the pain, I could bear through the misery, and each hand I shook, and each hug I gave, and each picture that was taken made me feel better and stronger and more sure of who and what I want to become and who and sure of who I'm trying to be than I've ever felt. It made me feel like a success, and that's maybe the first time in my life I've ever really felt that way. So if you're one of the people that I met that day, if you're one of the people that came up and said hello or shook my hand or hugged me, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you enough. I felt like a celebrity, and that day I listened to Will Wheaton speak at his panel, and the first 30 minutes of his speech was comedy. He did a lot of rudimentary stand-up stuff that I would easily recognize, a lot of the rules of basic stand-up, but the jokes were funny, and he's a funny guy, and he's very charismatic, and he's fun to listen to. But his overall message during that panel, and I think as him and as a person, was that he always wanted to be kind, and he tried to be kind, and he goes to these conventions to be kind and to tell people to be kind to one another. And that really struck a chord with me. And I think for the first time in my life, I understand what it's like to be starstruck. I wanted to meet Will. I wanted to wait in line. I wanted to shake his hand and buy his autograph and buy a picture of him and maybe take a picture of him with him myself. But the line was just too long. It was an hour and a half long. There was hundreds of people there to meet Will. So I know I'm just one of the masses after all. I'm no celebrity, and I get that. And I'm okay with that. I know that. But he... I don't know if he understands the impact that has on us as a people, because in that day, I experienced nothing but kindness from everyone around me. And Planet ComicCon became one of the best experiences of my life. And I can't wait for the next one. I'm going to have to heal up for a few days, but I can't wait for the next one. But it makes me want to go to VidCon. It makes me want to go to E3. It makes me want to go to PAX. It makes me want to travel the world. It makes me want to meet every last one of you and shake every single hand. Because I love you guys. And quite apparently, you guys love me too.